Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to a day in the life review of Hogwarts Legacy. For this review, I played 24 hours of Hogwarts Legacy, thus a day in the life, and I engaged with all the major parts. With Hogwarts Legacy being a single-player game, we will start with the story and quests. The story is well crafted, characters are unique and deep as they need to be for the story and the quests, with it being left to player discretion on digging further into characters' backstories. I would personally suggest doing this for characters that regularly give you quests or are part of the story. Lots of lore there I did not know from the first 3 Harry Potter books and the movies. The backstories for the characters that you do not interact with regularly or once are kind of hit or miss. There are some good ones in there, but yeah, kind of hit or miss. The story is interwoven with completing quests to advance the story. These quests are more like class-related tasks called assignments that are given out by professors. These are often paths to new spells or wizarding equipment, and of course, the room. Quests from characters you interact with regularly around Hogwarts can also unlock new spells. They also often open up new areas of Hogwarts or help you to explore the world for the less adventurous, more task-oriented witches or wizards. There are quests that are completely optional and completely unrelated to the story or unlocking new spells and wizarding equipment found around the world outside of Hogwarts. These unlock various aesthetic items or various recipes. They are not filler, though. They are for the more intrepid and more adventurous witches and wizards. They help to give direction when out wandering the open world. Kind of like things that you can do to show the golden line that leads you to your currently selected objective. I don't know. I didn't really use it. But basically they're similar to that. For the world and immersion, as clearly stated in the first impressions video, the world looks beautiful and is very detailed. We said that several times, a lot of times. The opinion hasn't changed. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's an absolutely gorgeous and well-crafted game. The world is much larger than I initially anticipated. I did not know the local area to Hogwarts and Hogsmeade was... I didn't know there was so much in it. I didn't know it was so large. I did not get that impression from the books or the movies. Probably up until about maybe the two-parter final movie. That one, I kind of felt like, they kind of really showed a whole lot more of the world. For most of the rest of the books, it kind of mostly felt like they just kind of stuck around Hogwarts and Hogsmeade. But most everything that happens around Hogwarts or Hogsmeade, from what I remember, and I will caveat that statement now with from what I remember, it has been a few years since seeing the movies and even longer since reading the 3 books. But yeah, from what I remember, mostly everything happens around Hogwarts and Hogsmeade. Now, magical and fantastical mixed with the architectural style of the older period is absolutely perfect in my opinion. The shops you find around, like the Brood and Peck or the Dogweed and Deathcap, each have their own unique look and style, but the base architecture is, the same kind of style of older homes, for the 1800s. The Brood and Peck is probably my favorite one in Hogsmeade. It's got various different beast cages, like huge ones, little ones, square ones, birdcage looking ones, and all of that is interweaved with the actual construction of the building itself. And I don't know, I thought that was really cool. Hogwarts provides many examples of this as well. The different kinds of styles you find in the different hallways and how it changes as you move from one wing to another. The materials being used, the kind of statues and paintings you find around, the degree of foliage and accoutrements, the number of students you find, and what kind of classes and activities are in that wing. It's all very well designed and put together. Some of the greatest examples, I would have to say, are going to be the herbology wing, the the wing, or like I think it's more of a staircase leading up to the divination classroom, and heading up into the astronomy tower, where you get to see the sort of like magical 3D representation of galaxies in the solar system. It's a very wonderful touch. There's more a great example than just those. Those are just the first ones that popped in my head while I was writing the script. They're the ones that stood out to me the most. I didn't include the room of requirement. It didn't really seem to fit, because the player gets to design the style of the room and change the aesthetic. So I kind of didn't include that when I was thinking about, what are some really great themed areas around Hogwarts. The world is half of the immersive experience. The level of player volition is the other. The level of customization to how a character looks or the style of their wizarding equipment is quite plentiful. A player could look however the gear they equip looks. You can kind of take on a hodgepodge aesthetic, or you can transmog the way the gear looks, any of the 6 pieces of gear, including the wand in the room, and being able to determine if your character appears to be wearing a hat, or whether they have a scarf, or whether the hood on the robes is up or down, is a great detail that really complements player volition in how you look. This is an extension of character creation at the beginning of the game, because, well, how you look at a base level is the start to the immersion, right? How much you want your character to look like you or not look like you. But customization is not the only volition of the player. How the player chooses to interact or progress is also a major part of the immersion. There are certain quests that must be completed to be able to advance the story, but the order in which those quests are done is not determined. It's up to the player. If and when side quests are done is also up to the player. Quests also leave room for players to be able to complete them in different ways. You could take 2 completely different approaches to the same quest upon playing another character, or say if you fail and have to restart from a checkpoint. All of this together makes one heck of an immersive experience. Definitely one of the most immersive games I've ever played. Actually, I am comfortable with saying it is probably the most immersive experience I have ever had in gaming. It is so easy for me to lose track of time when playing this game, and as I'm sure you have heard from the chapters of A Tale from Hogwarts, that I can get easily absorbed in what I'm doing and forget to talk. Maybe not the best way to practice streaming, maybe something I can more easily talk much more about might be a better way. Anyways, I digress. Apologies. Avalanche has done an amazing job with immersion in this RPG. Truly amazing how well they have made this game a my or your experience at Hogwarts. Combat's the next section I want to come to, and I include spells and talents here. I want to touch on spells first, for they have uses outside of combat as well. Some spells can only be used out of combat, and they serve the function they're meant to. Nothing really to critique. They're absolutely fine as they are. Those that can be used in and out of combat can be used somewhat interchangeably with other spells out of combat when interacting with the world or the environment. This is an excellent attention to detail, very refreshing, and also helps with immersion. In combat, spells offer a variety of attacks at different ranges and with different elemental effects, along with various other effects. Being able to freeze, burn, and use force in a variety of ways not only allows for players to effectively deal with threats, but also allows for personalization to each player's preferential playstyle. There are even stealth options. This is a disadvantage as much as it is an advantage. Some enemies are weaker to certain elements, and some enemies can have shields that require certain kind of spells to break. Fortunately, they are color-coded to the kind of spells that are needed. Variety is highly encouraged in combat, and personally, very enjoyable. Multi-enemy combat is well done if you take advantage of all your defensive options. If you do not, multi-enemy combat is it's particularly punishing. For me, the best example is when I did not prioritize knowing the dodge hotkey, as well as remembering to use Protego to cancel attack animations to still be able to avoid damage from enemies off screen at the boss fight in San Bacar's tower. Even amidst my complaints at the time, multi-enemy combat is well balanced if you're taking full advantage of all your defensive options and your full range of spells. Talents also increase combat variety and secondary effects of spells, potions, Protego, and dodge. Talents are broken down into multiple trees and offer extensive options to complement your playstyle or to help shore up any weaknesses you found in your preferential style. This also helps with immersion in, well, helping to sort of add some bells and whistles and finer points to whatever your preferential playstyle is. You know, if you want to be kind of more of a force user with like levitate, depulso, etc., or maybe you want to be a fire type using wizard, right? Talents can really help to expand what each of those different spells can do as opposed to just what they mainly do. Talents are also the pathway to increase the number of spell sets you can have. I particularly like how talents affect Protego and dodge, because, you know, I should use them more and try to tank less, plus what they do is pretty cool. Ancient magic and being able to throw various environmental objects at enemies rounds out the arsenal. Ancient magic is very powerful. Your ultimate attack in all situations, essentially. There are various attacks that the player will pull off at random when your ancient magic is used. Throwing things from the environment can not only interrupt attacks, but also can knock back enemies. If thrown objects happen to cause a particular type of elemental damage, this can be much more effective than usual. Lastly, I want to talk about the UI. The menus. Every player has to interact with these, and the menu is used for a variety of common things in the game. You know, going to your quest log, looking at your OWL letters, settings, inventory, gear, the map. The UI is also the tool that all players must interact with in personalizing their witch or wizard. It is one of the most essential tools in immersion and a smooth user experience. Another way to look at it. The menus are the operating system, such as Windows, Mac, Android, or Apple, of the game, and a bad user interface can ruin any experience. The menus are laid out very well. They are simple and minimalistic. The art style does not interfere with reading and understanding the menus. In fact, the art style is wonderful and adds to interacting with them. In-game menus, you can either read or navigate really via the art. The art used for the categories of talents is particularly good. For system menus, the art style complements but is also not obstructive. The systems menus are laid out particularly well and have well-articulated submenus. Some of the options are also quite extensive, allowing for high accessibility and customization depending on hardware. Of particular note for me was audio, graphics, and sound. But I'm also a massive nerd, so maybe not something most players will take note of. I will say that the accessibility options available is some of the most extensive I have personally seen, so grain of salt, but also a great thing to see. Now, my personal thoughts. This is by far the most immersive game I have played. Avalanche has done an exceptional job at making a my experience at Hogwarts game. I find it very easy to lose track of time, which is why Miss Macabre started making me use a timer, and why the episodes subsequently got shorter and kind of more packed with actual content from the game. But anyways, bad self-deprecating jokes aside, I paid $76.46 USD on Steam, and I am very satisfied with my purchase. I will have gotten more than $80 out the game by the time I finish the story and all of the side content that, I'll probably end up completing. For an RPG like Hogwarts Legacy, I can tell you that even if, say, the chapters in A Tale from Hogwarts stop and, I move on to something else for the channel, I'm still going to keep playing this game, and it's going to be at least, at bare minimum, an 85% total completion of everything available to a Gryffindor student. Should you buy this game? I can't say. I can say that I am very satisfied with my purchase. I can tell you that I feel like I'm going to get more than that value of a purchase by the time I'm done playing. There are 4 houses in total. If you were to do a playthrough of each house, and you're definitely going to get your money's worth on one playthrough, if you do a playthrough for all 4 houses, you're definitely getting your money's worth. At least in my opinion. The game looks beautiful. It's very immersive. It's not super difficult, but it also has its lean forward moments. What score would I give Hogwarts Legacy out of 10? It's a solid 9 out of 10. And Hogwarts Legacy is personally on my Game of the Year list. If you made it this far, thank you. Please comment below and discuss what some of your thoughts are on Hogwarts Legacy. Please be courteous and not crass. If you don't want to discuss thoughts because I'm, a bit behind the times, and, some of the current games that are out as of August 15th, 2023 are making some rather big waves, then please leave me some feedback on what you thought of my review. Keep in mind that the general format for A Day in the Life reviews, and this is mainly because of my work schedule, is that I'm going to play a game for 24 hours. I'm going to interact with the major core parts of the game. This sometimes does not require in-game to be included. And then I write a review about my day in the life. What could I do better? I was trying to script for this review. Was it a good reading, or, did I get really robot-y and kind of monotone-ish? What should I cut out of my reviews, and what should I consider to include in the future? Also, because, who doesn't like affirmation? What did I do well? Thank you again for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day.